Jewish. Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is their old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And oh, what a delight we are going to have in talking to a Broadway diva, a woman who has appeared actually on Broadway in a show called It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, which was a pretty big hit there. She's also been in tons of regional theater. She toured as Grisabella in Cats. This was before the Haitians started eating all of them. And she's a friend of the neighborhood, Neil Berg, who was on this program a couple of years ago. He does this thing called 100 Years of Broadway, where he gets singers to do a review of Broadway songs. She has toured with that, but most of all, the thing that we really want to tell you is that this Sunday evening, September 15th, at 7 o'clock, you know where you want to be? You want to be in Stony Point, New York. Nobody wants to be in Stony Point, New York, but you want to be there because Penguin Repertory Theater is there, and this is where our new friend Carter Calvert will be performing Walking After Midnight, a tribute to the great Patsy Cline, because she's got the kind of voice that can do Patsy Cline as well as a bunch of other great singers. She's a pretty great singer herself. Won't you please welcome to the neighborhood, Carter Calvert. Shalom, Carter.
Hello. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Hey.
Oh, you're making my payas tingle. This is so wait a minute. I gotta ask you, your name is Carter Calvert.
Correct.
You're in the theater, but you cannot possibly be Jewish, or are you?
I'm not, but I am married to a Jew, so I guess proxy. Hey, you know.
Yes, Jewish by injection. This is fantastic. How did you meet your frummy husband? He's not frum, but husband, yes.
My husband I met doing Neil Berg's 100 Years of Broadway.
You're kidding.
Yes, he was the drummer. And the first year that I was, I had joined the tour, I was like, wow, he's really talented. And then the second year, I was like, he is really cute. And then by the third year, he was mine. So,
By the third year, you were giving the drummer some. I mean, so it took you a year to realize he was cute? I mean,
it took me a year to realize a lot of things. So yeah, it took me a couple of years to realize a lot of things. So yeah.
And you've been married now for how long?
15 years this November. Oh. I'm so excited. We're just so excited. We, to have found each other, and he's wonderful.
Well, so wait, 15 years. You also have a daughter who's she's in Cornell, surrounded by Jews. That's wonderful. So this is not from him. This would be from another.
No, this is from somebody else. Yes, a wonderful, wonderful man. But yeah, we call him. He's not a stepdad. We call him a bonus dad because he's so wonderful. So he gets to be a bonus dad, and he was just on the phone with my daughter just this minute. She called to talk to him. I don't know what that's about, but yeah. So.
And he's not Jewish, though.
My husband is Roger Cohen. My husband is Jewish.
The other guy did.
Not the other guy.
No. He's not. I'm just trying to get all these things.
No, I know it's good. It helps me remember. So thank you.
So let me ask you first of all. Tell us how some singers sometimes have an affinity for another performer. Like you get a woman who does Janis Joplin a lot. She does other things, but they identify her with Janis Joplin. This is why. So you kind of get identified with Patsy Cline on a certain level for many, many years now. How did that take hold?
Oh, I love that you asked me this question. So when I was 6 years old, my dad was a commander in the Navy, and which was great because it meant I got to be born in Honolulu, Hawaii. But then my dad, we as a family had to move to Moss Point, Mississippi, where my dad got transferred. And my dad was a little depressed to go from Hawaii to Moss Point, Mississippi. And I remember going to my parents and saying, hey, whatever I did, I'm sorry. And could we please move back to Hawaii? And they were like, no, this is where we live now. And my dad bought a brand new blue Ford Fairmont. And that blue Ford Fairmont had what felt like really high-tech technology. It had a tape player. And my dad joined the Tape of the Month Club.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
not the
Well,
Columbia Record Club. This was the other
I
one.
think it was.
Oh, it was
He
Columbia.
probably still owes money. He's passed on, but yeah, I got to check out on that. So anyway, he joined the Columbia Country Music Tape of the Month Club. And the first month, I think it was like Slim Whitman. And then the second month, it was Boxcar Willie. And then the third month, it was Patsy Cline. And I just became a forever fan. And I just fell in love with her. I knew every single one of her songs, and I just pretended that I was Patsy Cline. And then I
Not
don't
when
know.
you were on an airplane, I hope. Other times, yes, but not when you were flying somewhere.
I
Yeah.
mean, back in my day, you could smoke on an airplane. So I don't think it would be a problem to bust out with some Patsy Cline tunes,
All
you
right.
know.
Wait,
But
yeah.
but anyway, so yeah, I just and then I ended up getting cast in Always Patsy Cline in Cincinnati, Ohio at the Cincinnati the theater, the
Playhouse in the
Playhouse in the
Park.
Park,
But yeah.
Playhouse in the Park. And then a few years later, I had an audition to do Always Patsy Cline at the Ogunquit opposite Sally Struthers. And I was like, for so many reasons, I wanted to do that. And
By the
I
way,
ended
if people don't know this show, it's a tribute to Patsy Cline, but there's a story there. What
yes.
you can tell what you play,
Yeah,
but there's a woman who's a fan.
I'll make it really short. It's a two-person musical, and it's about a true story between a real life fan of Patsy Cline. Her name was Louise Sager, and a chance meeting that they have in Texas at this ballroom theater there. And they just become friends and were pen pals like for the rest of for the duration of Patsy Cline's life. And Patsy Cline really opened up to Louise and shared all of these just heartfelt, her innermost thoughts and feelings. And out of that was born this musical, which was basically a jukebox musical of Patsy Cline songs. And so I got to perform opposite Sally Struthers, who takes the show to just a whole new level. I mean, she is hilarious and heartfelt, and every night it's like it feels fresh and fun, and she just became just one of our best friends, and my daughter calls her her fairy godmother.
Oh,
So and she when she stays in our house, we call it the Patsy Cline suite. I mean the Sally Struthers suite, which is our basement. And she's just become a very special person to us. And since then I've done it all over the country with her. I mean, the last time we did it was at the together we did at the Bucks County Playhouse, and then after that, we did it at the Asbury Park Theater Company. That was the last time we did it. So it was just fun. I just love. I will do that show until people laugh when they say how old Patsy Cline was when she passed away. So,
well, also, since so many of us are all in the family fans, tell us a happy, funny Sally Struthers anecdote or story.
oh my gosh. Well, let me think. Okay, so this is great. So when she got fired from the Tim Conway Comedy Hour show. So she was and the whole point of the show was that it was supposed to look cheap, and she was the only, how back then all the variety shows, you like Johnny Marie, you just had all of these dancers and ice skaters, and well, all they had was Sally Struthers. So when the show would start, it would just be her like kicking, like pretending to be a whole group of chorus girls. And she got called into the producer's office, and they said to her, "We're going to let you go." And she was like, "Why?" And they were like, "Well, because you make the show look too cheap." And she goes, "Well, that's why you hired me, because you wanted the show to look cheap." And so anyway, so she gets fired from that show. And because she got fired, she was able to audition for All in the Family. And when she went to audition, she was who was Laverne in not Cindy Williams,
Cindy Williams.
Penny Marshall was dating Rob Reiner. And so it was like down to Penny Marshall and Rob Reiner and Sally Struthers. And Sally was like, well, I'm never going to get it because they're dating each other and they're going to have all this natural chemistry. And so for the audition, she just had to go and just like improv. And she said she knew she wasn't going to get it. So she just went in and she just had fun. And they decided they wanted a daddy's girl, not someone that looked more like Edith. And so she ended up getting it, and it just changed the whole trajectory of her whole life. And so I just love that story because I think it's so inspiring, because I think in our business we just think, oh my gosh, like I didn't get this job, or I got fired, or this didn't happen, now my life's over. And those kind of stories just kind of remind you that if this hadn't happened, then you wouldn't get this, and that wouldn't have led to that. And I think every professional actress or singer has a story like that, where if they didn't get fired from this, then they wouldn't have gotten this, or
It's
like,
there's like an old Jewish thing of a door closes but a window opens. The window closes and you fall down a sinkhole and die, because we're a very pessimistic kind of
I like that better.
Yeah.
I hate that saying, when God opens a way. I hate it. Like the worst thing happened to you and they're like, well, don't, when God closes a door, and it's just like, well, that
Well, do
doesn't
you have
help.
an equivalent story? Was there a time when a door closed on you
I
professionally?
do.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tell.
I do have a story like that. So I'm so okay, like long story short, after Moss Point, Pascagoula, or Pascagoula, Mississippi, Moss Point, my dad retires from the Navy and we moved to Cincinnati. So that's where my mom lived until she passed away and my father passed away. So that kind of feels like home. And so I was, I had just finished doing the Pump Boys and Dinettes dinner theater in Branson, Missouri. I had my equity card. I had to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I got a job on a cruise ship to be a performer. And I was so excited, and I had to go to LA. And so I go to LA, and my audition for this cruise line was just to dance. So she just like turned on music. So, I've got rhythm, I'm just dancing. Well, then when we get to rehearsals, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, Fosse. And I just was like, I I'm terrible. So every time at rehearsal, it was like an episode of Ellen. I just was terrible. I could not do all the dances. So I got fired from that. And so because I got fired for that, now I'm in LA, I got to find a job. So I get a job working at Universal Studios as a tour guide. Like I just had to pay some bills. And then from there, I auditioned to be in this show about the Blues Brothers. So they wanted somebody that sang like Aretha Franklin. They didn't say you had to be black. I know that was a
No,
different.
of all things. I mean,
Yeah,
Laverne Baker, or you could be.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
They just said we want somebody that
Teresa
sounds like
Brewer, you could
Aretha
totally. Yeah,
Franklin.
yeah.
And and I just have been a fan of hers my whole life. So I go to the audition. And I ended up getting cast as the first and probably only Wanda in the Blues Brothers show at Universal Studios. And because of that, all the controversy, I mean, it like kind of upset people, I guess, that now there's a white Aretha Franklin. Because of that, I got the attention of the wife of Ron Taylor, who was the original man-eating plant in Little Shop of Horrors. And his wife was like, okay, there's this white girl that everybody says sounds like Aretha Franklin. He was putting together the show called It Ain't Nothing But the Blues. They needed a white girl that sounded, that could do Patsy Cline, Peggy Lee, and, had a soulful, sound that would mesh with the other cast members. And so because I got fired from that cruise ship, I got It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, which just changed my whole life. I mean,
Well,
it,
let me ask you if that, because you were in that show that ran, I think, a year. It ran
it didn't run very long. I left it to go do Smokey Joe's in Europe. Yeah, because I had done it. I had done every single Because the run up to doing it in New York, it had been done at every regional theater. So I was kind of like ready for a change. I'm always like, what's the next thing? I love Europe. I love to travel. I'm always like, what's the next thing? So yeah,
Oh,
I love
wow.
to.
So you literally gave up a Broadway gig. Granted, to go touring Europe and do all right.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
I was in love with the musical director. It probably wasn't
Well,
my
well,
career move.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
But
a second.
it got me my daughter Ella, who's now at Cornell,
Now I get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and she's my joy. She's the greatest joy in
No,
my life.
her name is Ella Fitzgerald, and she's white. Who knew?
Yes, I know, but she's named after Ella Fitzgerald.
Is she
Yeah,
really?
she
Oh,
really is. Yeah,
See,
because after Patsy Cline, Ella Fitzgerald is my next favorite singer. Yeah,
so why didn't you name her Patsy?
because I don't know.
Patsy's is not a it's not a name you really
Yeah, it was a little too, I don't know. It wasn't the right name for her.
now here's something that kind of in terms of as a club performer, as a singer rather than theatrical, you've opened for Chubby Checker.
Yeah, like a million years ago. It's like I really need to take it off. Like it's so old. I mean, yeah, how old
All
is
right,
it?
all right. What about
Yeah.
Liza? You've opened for Liza though.
Yes. Okay.
Any
So,
Liza? Come on, you gotta give us a Liza story if you have one.
well, in Cincinnati, they have this beautiful place called Music Hall, and I was part of this group of singers and dancers, and this really wealthy man would just like book Music Hall and then invite like all his Richie Rich friends and and fill up the place, and then he would just hire like amazing performers, and one of them was Liza Minnelli. And so one of my friends, my friend Tim Barker, who was also in this like troupe, this performers and singers, was just like said he just went off stage for a minute, and this he just heard someone like, "Hey, you got a light?" and and he was like, "What?" And he turns around, and it was like Liza just in a robe with like a cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and he just like was so just taken back. She was watching in the wings. And then she went on stage, and I watched every second of her from the wings, and she turned it out. She was unbelievable. She was like at the top of her game. She was unbelievable. Yeah.
Hey, how
She was.
long? When was this? How long ago again was this? Roughly, would say.
This is what's terrible. I almost have like a mental defect. I cannot remember. I cannot remember dates. I mean, it probably, I don't even want to say it because then it just dates me. But yeah, I was like, I was young. I was young when this was happening. Yeah.
Now let me
Yeah.
ask you. Um, you also do a solo show. Sometimes I mean, you've done tribute solo shows, but you did something, or are you still doing something called Viva la Diva?
Yes, we've kind of renamed it a diva celebration because we just feel like that makes it a little, I feel like Viva la Diva, like I love it. But we were doing it at the Bucks County Playhouse, and Sally Struthers was promoting it every night as we were doing our curtain call. And she couldn't say it. Like she was just like the love Viva la, and so anyway, I was just like, you know what? If Sally Struthers can't pronounce it, then that's on me. So we
If
changed it
Sally
to
Struthers can't pronounce Viva la Diva, she's having
I
cognitive slippage. I don't know.
I didn't know she's not. She is sharp as a tack. Like I want Quentin Tarantino to put her in a, like she can play anything. She's ridiculously talented. Yeah, and she's the sharpest person I know, young or old. Like she's incredible.
Have you done many non-musical roles? Have you gotten parts that were didn't call upon you to use your pipes in that fashion?
I this a friend of mine is a playwright, and his name is Brian. And wait a minute, let me look at the poster 1 second, and I'll tell you
Brian
his name.
Yorkie from the musical guy.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Brian Hampton. He was actually just at my house for a debate party. The debates happened to be on my birthday, and I was very excited about them. And so I hosted a debate party. So anyway, my friend Brian Hampton is just a really talented playwright, and there's two plays that, well, he's written several, but two plays he cast me in, and I just got to be just like wacky off the top, super bitchy. It was so fun. I loved it. But most everything I've done is, I'm singing. I'm singing.
I've gotta ask, when you did Forbidden Broadway, what were
Yeah.
some of the characters and songs that you did? Because also Gerard Allison Ringy was on this program many years ago, so he's
Oh, how
a
fun. Oh, yeah.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful. You've had everybody. You've had
pretty much
everybody in
everybody.
this.
Not Golda
Yeah.
Meir, we're hoping, but it's unlikely at this point. But
Well, yeah. Um, I was Julie Andrews. I was Carrie Underwood. I was Liza Minnelli. I was Kelly O'Hara. I was Susan Stroman. I was BB Newworth. Um, yeah, I
so all
mean,
right, so what of those? What was like your most memorable Forbidden Broadway moment or song parody?
oh yes. Okay, yes. Okay, so so like, we are they were always just trying to like keep the lights on for this particular at this venue. It was like a little bit off the beaten path. I can't remember the name of the theater. And so like after our
So
show,
this
then
was not New York. This
no,
was
this was in New York. This
oh,
was in New York.
was
Yeah,
it
it was.
Fairbanks, the Douglas
No,
Fairbanks?
it wasn't that. I did do it at the Douglas Fairbank. I've done a few incarnations, but the last one they did before COVID was called Forbidden Broadway Comes Out Swinging.
Yeah.
And it was at this theater. And I'm at the Davenport Theater. It was at the Davenport Theater.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yes.
the AMT now. That Ken guy took it over. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'll take your word.
Al Tapper. Yeah.
Yes. So we had like this beautiful baby grand. And then because they had this other show that was coming in afterwards, they replaced it with like this, like, I'm going to say Casio keyboard because that's what it felt like to me, but I'm sure it was a lot nicer. But anyway, it had like, the extension cord went underneath the little curtain that you see, the little sparkly curtain. And it was just like it was constantly getting unplugged because somebody was like frantically changing their clothes. And I mean, the quick changes are like, I could get ready for any kind of event in 5 minutes because of doing Forbidden Broadway. I'm talking about no matter what it is, I could be ready in 5 minutes, like top to bottom, 5 minutes. And so anyway, I'm out there getting ready to be Liza, and I start singing it, and then all of a sudden the keyboard cuts out. So I have to improv for what felt like 10 minutes in as the character of Liza Minnelli. And it was like one of those moments. I mean, I, it was funny. The audience loved it.
Right.
My cast members were like in the wings, just like gobsmacked at this feat because they're literally just trying with flashlights to try to figure out how to get the cord back in the thing. And so that to me was like, I was like, you know what? Nothing can hurt me after that. Nothing can hurt me, not forgetting my lyrics or what, like nothing after having to like improv as Liza Minnelli for 10 minutes while somebody tries to find the chord for the piano. I was like, I'm
But that
good.
also makes me. It really did strike me as odd when they were thinking seriously of bringing Forbidden Broadway to Broadway this past summer, and then it
Yeah.
didn't work out. But they brought it again to like a somewhat shabby-esque off-Broadway theater, which is really where it belongs at Paulson's. It belongs at the Yorkish or when
I did it at
well that at
Star
New
at
York.
Ellen Stardust Diner when I first started with it. Yeah. And I don't know, I kind of like that place, I thought it kind of worked because it was like in the basement. It was, it had table service. You could drink and eat. I don't know. I always thought that was like kind of a fun place for it. And everybody would come see it. Joan Rivers came and saw the show. Um, oh, I'm like drawing a blank, but we were always taking a picture with, somebody that was famous, and that
Well,
just was so
speaking of
fun.
which idol of like some of the most famous people you've either worked with or just idolized and got to meet in your travels and in your New York travels? Like somebody who's like you never thought you'd meet in person, and there you are singing with them, or just seeing them in the audience and meeting them in the dressing room.
Okay, I have like I'll tell you what comes to mind immediately. So Sally and I were doing Always Patsy Cline in Ogunquit, Maine, and the Bushes senior come to see the show. So George Bush Sr., Barbara, Laura, and the Bush twin that's blonde. She's on the Today Show now. Laura.
I can't think of.
I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, so they come to see the show and then they all come back at intermission to take a picture with me and Sally. And so I'm meeting the Bushes and I'm just like, I mean, politically, I'm not completely aligned with them, but still, it's a freaking president and it's Barbara Bush. And like, I knew my mom would be really happy. And they were so sweet, so gracious, like so complimentary, so lovely. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I just met, the president. And so a few days later, Sally calls me and she's like, we have been invited to Kennebunkport between 5 and 5:30, and it was on our day off. They have invited us to come to Kennebunkport as their guest from 5 to 5:30. And I was like, first off, I was like, wow, I didn't know you could invite someone over to your house for a half hour. Like my life has changed. Like I could do that. There's people I could deal with for a half hour. So anyway, we get all dressed up, we get in the car, we go over, and I really thought like there would be this real extensive, like where they would check our bags or they would pat us down. Nope, we just wave to the guard, he lets us in. We knock on the door and Laura Bush just greets us, and there's all these dogs, and Barbara Bush is like, hi, welcome Carter, welcome Sally. And then there's the president. And I'm like, oh, hello, Mr. President. And he's like, what are you drinking? And I'm like, what are you having? And he's like, I'm having a margarita. And so I was like, that's what I'll have too. And it was the best margarita I've ever had. Like whoever their manservant was, he put it.
It was George W. Actually, he was in the kitchen mixing that. Yeah.
No, George W. also arrived later. But anyway.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting there and I'm having the best time talking to George Bush Sr., with the President George Bush Sr.
Did he grab your tuchus because he was known for? Did he? No.
Well, you're getting to the end of the story, but yeah,
I
totally. No, that's the story. So he was so lovely. I'm just chatting with him, having the most wonderful time. And then I guess his margarita kicked in, and then he was just like, you were the most like whatever woman I've ever, it was like kind of icky. And so then we see, George Bush, W and Laura, like they all come in and then like we're not leaving, and
the half hour you were at the door, right?
Yeah, and they all left to go to dinner, and Sally and I are just like, what are we doing? And they just kept talking. And Barbara Bush was like telling me all these wonderful stories about being in the White House and seeing Michael Jackson and just like all of this stuff. And so then it comes time to go. And I'm like, thank you so much, Mr. President. It was so lovely to see you. And he was like, why don't you come over and hug me goodbye? And I was like, okay. So kind of like a lamb to the slaughter, I go over and I'm like, nice to meet you. And all of a sudden I just feel his hands like on my backside.
On your actual, not lower back, but your
on my actual, like, because I bent over the wheelchair to say goodbye to him.
He was that old. Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm sorry. He was in a wheelchair. It was,
so he was when they were president anymore. He was
yeah.
No,
he was a former president. Like this was let me try to conjure up. I would say this was like 15 years ago. I would say this is 15 years ago. Yeah. So he was, still there, but in a wheelchair. So and I'm just like, really? So I walk, Sally and I get in the car and I go, what just happened? And she goes, you just got felt up by the president. And so
you did. Oh my God.
Yeah. So that happened.
I mean, he did that to me also.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, good company.
Two fingers in my tuchus. I still have a hemorrhoid from the president. It's awful. But
that's a memory I don't have.
I do what I do for my country. I do. So
you're a hero.
I am. Goddamn. Would you though perform? Because George Bush the father not, as we say, you might be on a political different spectrum, but his kid and now and President Trump, you probably are very much further away from in terms of. Would you perform for from them? Would you take a picture if Donald Trump put his arm around and didn't even touch you in a naughty way, but wanted to take a selfie? Would you do it?
Okay, I'm gonna just tell you a quick little. So I was doing in I can't think of the name of the theater. Oh, this is terrible. Sharon, Connecticut. So the Sharon Playhouse. So I'm at the Sharon Playhouse, and I've been invited to this like greet the donors kind of thing, and they really want me to come up and like meet all the donors. And so they're like, okay, I just want you to know, like, as soon as I get there, the artistic director meets me out in the parking lot, and he's like, I just want you to know that Donald Trump's brother is here. Donald Trump's brother is here. He's one of the donors. Would you be okay taking a picture with him? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, because I
Brother.
mean, my brothers and I, like, we're like, I don't want anyone judging me by my brothers, and they don't want to be judged by me. Like, we're all free agents in this world. And so I met his brother. He was so wonderful. I met his girlfriend. They were so lovely. They like became our friends. We were invited to his birthday party. I met all the other Trump sisters, and they were just so lovely. And I don't know why his name is escaping me right now. This is terrible, but they were just so lovely. Um, um, Shoot. Oh, and my husband's too far away for me to yell at him, but
I'll yell at him.
you,
Husband, what's the name of the?
well, you can just Google it. Robert.
Okay.
And yes, Robert Trump. And they were so lovely. And so I would sing for Robert. I would, but I don't want to.
You couldn't.
That's just not. I just feel like I don't want to do it, and I don't have to do it, so I'm not gonna do it. I'm just, yeah, I'm not
So
gonna do
let me ask you. So in balancing, so you do the Patsy Cline shows. You do the diva, not diva.
it. Viva la diva, a diva celebration. Yeah,
Celebration, diva celebration. What
yep.
else are you kind of working on or for? Are you auditioning for things? What's in like the 6 month pipeline for Carter Calvert?
Yeah, well, I just saw something from my agent and I didn't have time to look at it, but so yeah, I'm still auditioning. I'm still creating shows. We also have a Carole King tribute show that we've done at the Penguin Rep, that we've done all over, that we love doing. We love performing that show. I do a lot of voiceover work, and so I like my studio. I kind of hit all the things that I used to deaden the sound just so it'd be cuter. But I'm like actively in the business. I will say that for the past few years, as my daughter, as I knew that she'd be leaving, I really made being a mom and being home for my daughter a really strong priority. So it for me to leave town, it would have to be like really cute money or just something really important, because I just really wanted to be home and be there for her while she was, having
Wait,
her.
but now it's empty nest.
Now it's empty nest.
Or you're just like
So
doing
bring it. Bring
bring
it.
it,
Yeah.
bring it to Carter Calvert for God's sake. Is there a role, a musical theater role that you've always wanted to play that you still technically, could get cast for, and what would it be?
Yeah, I would love to be the Mama Rose and
Uh,
Gypsy. Yeah, I would love to play that part. I really would. Or Sunset Boulevard, that would be a really, really great part. But I also like creating roles. I like being a part of the whole creative process versus like cookie cutter. This is how the person did it before you. You fit the costume. That's 70% of why you got the role. Um, like I've been really lucky. I've gotten to play such wonderful roles. I got to play Ava Perón and Evita, and that was just one of the highlights of my life. I got to play Annie and Annie Get Your Gun. Yeah, I just and I think that's one thing that I liked about even doing Forbidden Broadway. It's just that you're part of the creative process. And I like collaboration. I like, oh, you said that. Okay. I almost like the improvness of being in a scene together. Somebody gives you something and then you give something back. And now that's what the show is.
It's
I
the
love that.
improv, yes, and. Yeah.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
me ask you though, like with Evita, you probably knew the songs going in. You
Yeah.
probably heard "Packing the Pony" in your head. Uh,
Yes.
this was back when she was in the Union. But let me ask you, how do you get her out of your brain and out of your consciousness, even when you're doing like the poses and whatever? How do you not Laponize? How do you not Mermanize Annie?
Well, I don't think I probably listened to Ethel Merman as much as I listened to maybe some other people in learning that. And plus, I played Annie in high school, so I kind of, had a feel for it. That was hard because I do feel like I have an ear for mimicry, which is probably why I've done so much for Ben Broadway. Um, but I think I just like really got into the story and I loved her rise to fame and I loved how she sort of became this real strong power player. So I think I just really got into the acting part of it. I liked I like her bitchiness and her evil, but also her vulnerability and her I think I really got into the storytelling. So it just was, I mean, I would just sob, like when she's dying at the end. I would just like tears would just pour out of me. I just felt like I just lived her. I felt like for that time that I was on stage, I lived her. I felt.
Can you do that Bernadette Peters thing? Can you sing and cry at the same time? I figure as soon as you start the like,
Yeah, it closes up, but doesn't like Bernadette kind of have that close thing anyway. So, I think she's kind of it's already there a little bit. But yeah, I don't once I cry, it's pretty bad. Because like sometimes my husband has learned how to play the guitar lately. So we'll be singing together and I'll just get so choked up because he's just so cute and I just love him so much. And then it's just like it's not pretty. It goes to the ugly place. It's like that's kind of
yeah,
where it
yeah,
goes.
there you go.
But my friend Stephanie J. Block, she's got that gift. Like she can like have this really emotional moment with somebody because I did this Covenant House show with her to raise money for Covenant House. And she had this homeless teen that she was like, that just told their story. And she came out and she sang Defying Gravity to this homeless teen that like had just told the like worst story you could ever imagine. And it was one of the most powerful things. And I just was like, okay, I get the hype around you, friend, because you are incredible. Like that was a master class and just weaving a moment together, that was incredible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're getting a little bit clamped even thinking
I
about that.
am, I'm getting
Yeah,
verklempt.
a clamp you're getting. By the way, we have to remind people that we're talking with Carter Calvert, and if you are in or if you want to go to Stony Point, New York, this Sunday, this week, tomorrow, actually, it's tomorrow, and see Walking After Midnight, which is singing such songs by Patsy Cline as.
Walking After Midnight, I Fall to Pieces, Sweet Dreams, She's Got You, Strange, um, and a million more, tons of songs.
Yeah,
Yeah, If I Could See the World, Back in Baby's Arms, yeah, just all your favorite Patsy Cline songs. We
I
do all
ask
of them.
you, how do you get to where you don't live in Stony Point? You're getting there. How can
Yes,
a New Yorker, how can someone who lives in a real place
I
get to
live in Westchester. I'm a
you're
suburban.
on the yeah.
Yeah, I have like a Costco membership. That's the kind of suburban mom I am. Yeah.
So people can get on. Was it Metro North? They can just get up there and pretty easily,
Yeah, I
doing everything. Now, before we let you go, also we want to remind people that you have a couple of albums out too. Now, you
yeah,
might not be surprised that she does some Great American Songbook stuff and she does some Patsy Cline stuff. It was a little surprising to hear you a song by not only the Police but Nine Inch Nails. You actually
Oh,
covered
yes.
hers.
Oh, that's okay. So that album is a concept album that I came up with my husband, who was the executive producer of this whole album, and then Ulysses Owens Jr., who's an incredible drummer, producer, Grammy Award winner. And I just had this concept that I wanted to sing songs that were made famous by men, and I wanted to call it "It's a Man's World." And I wanted it to be a jazz album. So I got the best players in New York City. And I had Lawrence Hobgood. He did many of the arrangements, Joshua Bolus. Like I had just the best arrangers arrange this music in the key that fit my voice the best. And we just gave these songs that were made famous by men just this whole new life. And it was one of the most incredible things I've ever worked on. And it's called It's a Man's World.
It's a Man's World. That's your most recent record. Remember, we used to call them records back in the day.
Oh, I remember. I remember. Yes.
How can people get this and
Oh,
other?
it's on most of my music's online. You can get it, on Apple Music. I think you can get it through Amazon. Yeah, if you just Google or just go to Apple, you can stream almost all my stuff. And then we also have another album called Carter Calvert and the Roger Cohen Trio, and that's with my husband, who's an amazing
The
um
Jew, her husband, the
he's
Jew.
a Jew, and he plays the drums, and he's amazing. And it's just it's all American songbook type music.
Are you
It's
thinking of
beautiful.
doing another record, or you're?
I think I was just trying to get my daughter into Cornell. And so now, like, the world's open. Like we can do anything. I tend to be very one track. So I'm very much like, okay, this Sunday is my Patsy Cline show. So that's what I'm focused on.
Wait, you
Then
have
I
another show
start.
that's well, people can't even go. It's sold out. Where the hell? What is that one?
It's at the Dutch Apple Dinner Theater in Pennsylvania. And all three shows are sold out. So, and it's in October. So
I once played the Dutch Oven Dinner Theater there. It's a bad smell, bad place. Don't ever go to that.
I think I work there myself, probably.
What was your worst hell gig? I have to ask that. Like the worst music, everything fell apart, or the director was awful, and people quit, and or just yeah.
Man, I feel like I've been really lucky. Like
Toy,
I
toy, 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 toy.
no, okay, is that wrong? Okay.
You get what
I just feel blessed. Is that hashtag blessed?
It's
Like,
very
we'll just be
toyish.
annoying. I'll be very Karen-y for a moment. Yeah, I feel like I mean, I definitely like I have gone to gigs where you think it's one thing and then it's in a gymnasium, and Methuselah is like running sound and it's awful and everything. You're like, hey, feedback, feedback. I've had like horrible concert experiences, but like for theater, I don't know. I guess maybe because I just don't take every gig. And I was just really lucky starting out that my first theater job was a union gig. So I just never, did summer stuff.
Although you must have had some wild, crazy nights, funny things happen, or the audience members, somebody's cell phone goes off and they drop dead. Or did you ever have
Oh yeah, I definitely have. So when I did It Ain't Nothing But the Blues on Broadway, I was the lone white girl on the show, and there was one white guy, and everyone else was black in the show, and the audience would love to, love to talk to us. So Gregory Porter, who you might know now, he's just like this incredible Grammy Award winner. I mean, you should Google him. He's unbelievable. He's amazing. He sang this song called Crawling King Snake. And so he'd go to each of the girls and he'd sing, and he would come up to me, and it was dirty. It's like he's a snake and it's a blues. And he would say, I'm a crawling king snake, baby. I rules my own den. And he would say, like, I don't know, I'm gonna come in your back door or something. And I would go like, I'll leave my door wide open. And so some woman yelled out from the audience, crawl on, king snake, crawl on. So
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
that happened. And then one time when I was doing Fever, it was a very slowed down, very sexy version of it, you know, just really like slinky. And as I was walking out to turn my back to the audience to, you know, start with the snaps, this woman yelled out, "Don't hurt nobody, Carter."
Okay.
So, so
That's
that
it.
was fun.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. That is
Yeah.
like,
That was fun. That was better than crawl on, King Snake, crawl on. But yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
right. Well, we have loved crawling on, in, and over cart. No, that's a horrible. And touching in a presidential way the buttocks of Carter Calvert, ladies and gentlemen. Go see her. We have one more question for you before you leave, but go see her. And also, go check out her website, CarterCalvert.com. It's Carter, like the still amazingly alive president, and Calvert, like Larry Bud Melvin, Calvert DeForest, CarterCalvert.com, and you can find out all about her albums that you can get everywhere, and all about Walking After Midnight in Stony Point. What is your favorite song of all time?
Oh, my favorite song of all time. Uh, just the song that comes to mind is a song that we do in our Patsy Cline show that you'll see on Sunday. It's called "You Belong to Me," and it just touches me. It's just a song I've always loved, and I found out from my Aunt Margaret that that was my dad's favorite Patsy Cline song, and I didn't know that. And so it's just one of those songs that just I can't wait to sing it, no matter how many times I've done Always Patsy Cline, no matter how many times I've done our show. When it gets to that moment, I'm just like, ooh, I just feel, ooh, I can't wait to do this. Yeah. And that feels really good.
Well, Carter Calvert, you now belong to us in the neighborhood. You are a friend of ours. We'd love to have you here. We'd love to have you back. It is a delight to meet you. Everybody go see her in Walking After Midnight tomorrow, September 15th at Penguin Rep Theater in Stony Point, New York. Check our website, CarterCalvert.com. Carter, keep singing. Have much health and good music and mazel in your life and with your Jewish husband. And
Yes.
shalom to you.
Shabbat shalom. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye. Mwah.